Welcome to this Mastery Empowerment course from New Earth One Network. This is designed exclusively for your higher self connection and embodiment. Welcome to this Mastery Empowerment course. This is an Ascension transmission for your empowered mastery. And our guest today is Grace OneHeart, who's been on the path with God for eternity. And she shares her wisdom and her light transmissions with us today. This is Be the Light Ascension Way. Hi, Grace. Welcome. Thank you for being here.
Hi, thank you for having us. As you know, we are one, so it's all of us coming here together, joining in the heart as one for the glory and the victory of the light, because this is what's happening here. That's why we're here. So this is really a joy, and we're really grateful to be here. Thank you.
I love how you say we. That is, it is the new way of our world. It's
the oneness consciousness, you know, it's either we or the I am, you know, so when we join together, this is the oneness consciousness, but who we truly are is the I am presence of God. So this is what I bring forth. This is what I bring forth in embodiment. And this is what I bring forth through the transmissions, through the grace of God, really, because it's all His doing. And I know, you know, some souls have different ways to connect to the divine. So really, it's important, you know, if you call the divine the light, you know, like whatever is your heart connection, however you connect to the divine, to the light, is most important. Because I know some souls have some, you know, some things with the word God. I don't. I mean, I, you know, this is just how I connect as well. So, but it's so important to feel in the heart what feels right. And truly, the mastery in this is to be like, I have been in secluded retreat for almost 8 years in Glastonbury, and it is known to be the heart chakra of the planet. I didn't really at first consciously choose it. I was in Sedona before that, and before that Los Angeles. And I do believe that America is the new Earth. So I connect with a lot of souls on an etheric level that are based in the States. And I know this is the future. So the souls that are already there, they're doing an extraordinary light work for the light, for the divine. They're really anchoring, because I feel why America has been chosen on that level, because America doesn't have a huge past. Like everywhere else on the planet, there's been a lot of things that have happened. And the land of America on some level is still pure on some level. I know things have happened there as well, but they are about awakening the consciousness. Everything that has happened in the American history really is about awakening the consciousness to oneness and spiritual freedom. I mean, America is huge about freedom, but what really they are saying when they talk about freedom is spiritual freedom. So I hope that makes sense. I'm just allowing the wisdom to flow through. And I feel, God is really calling us forth. Like, I don't often um, come to a large group of souls on this level, but somehow God has allowed it. So our connection is perfect. It's perfectly in divine flow. And I feel God is really trusting us with it, because his divine plan, the plan of the light, is real, like the illusion, whatever you see, like most souls that are listening to this have probably awakened to the inner mystic. So it's what I'm saying, it's not really new. It's just an inner confirmation. But it is so important at this moment. I feel like we are really asked to join in the heart on an etheric level, but also through those transmissions, because we're ready. Like this is just how I feel. It's like we're ready, because I'm really a true hermit. Like I live in divine union with God, and I don't actually really talk about it. I mean, it's on the website, and it's for those who are guided to the website. I don't really do a lot of things. It's there is a Facebook page, Being New Earth 444. There is a website. I have few transmissions on YouTube, but it really is, I'm really in beingness. That's what God has guided my being about 6 years ago, when he asked my being to come into retreat, because I opened up to oneness consciousness in Sedona. Sedona is just, a place that I will always be etherically and in the heart. It's an amazing vortex. It's an amazing place to awaken to cosmic consciousness. But then I was guided to Glastonbury, the heart, the sacred heart, to anchor the energy. And that was just the grace of God, really, because it is great to open up to cosmic consciousness if one is blessed to do so, because I do believe it happens at the perfect divine moment when the divine says, that soul is ready. Because awakening to that consciousness has to happen in phases, and one has to be able to anchor the consciousness so it's actually here in embodiment, and it's not just floating in the ether. It's here, and it can function. The I am presence of God can be embodied. It's not something unusual anymore. We're doing it. All of us, that have chosen, that have said yes to the divine, to come here and to do this, to embody the light of God and all the divine qualities of the new earth, of heaven, really, but here in embodiment. It has to be done in phases, and really the heart of this is the heart. Like, if you give yourself to the divine, we know we're not doing this through the old ways. Okay, so any soul that has a problem with the word God, it's probably because there has been some trauma with religion. So I really would, just send a blessing to every soul that can relate to that. And hopefully we'll heal that, and it's okay if you don't want to call the divine God. But it's so important to not have any blocks, because we're here as transmuters as well, and we transmute through the presence of God, and not really identifying with any story, any different timeline in any different countries, nations around this planet. We're here to transmute it through the heart. So we're not identifying with the 3D illusion of whatever has ever happened or will happen. We're identifying as the I am presence. The I am presence is ever eternal. It's only here and now. So whatever emotions, whatever feelings is creating a separation, a schism in the oneness that you truly are as the I am presence, can be healed, can be transcended and transmuted through presence and the grace of God. So it's really important that whatever you are feeling, observing, experiencing, do not identify from the little self. You have to identify from the I am presence. This is the freedom. This is the spiritual freedom. This is the doorway, the stargate, however you want to call it. Okay, it's really important to remember this, that you should, at this point, if you're hearing this, like I said, you probably have awakened the inner mystic already. And so the spiritual ears and the spiritual eye they're already functioning. So you are receiving command and instructions from God, from the divine, from the I am. And some of us are able to actually embody the I am. But the I am is a very subtle um, frequency, and it's a very holy frequency. So most important, the first step on this path, on this journey, is to love the divine and be devoted to the divine. That is the first step, devotion, not knowledge. And I know that can seem, for those who really are about knowledge, it's like, oh, really? But actually, yes, because when you are in the presence, it is divine quietude. There are no thoughts. It's like a subtle level of samadhi, but you are not in trance, or you are not dreaming or imagining or even visualizing. You are completely awake here and now. And it is amazing how the presence of the I am, of the divine, can transcend and transmute the darkest recesses, really, of the unconscious, what you could see as the dream, the illusion, but any of you that has awakened the inner mystic has realized this. You're looking through the spiritual heart and you are looking through the inner eye. So something that is really important is to not look at the illusion, because the illusion is meant to make us dream. Does it make sense?
Yes, yes, it does. The
I
illusion is,
hope it is not too deep.
no, it's
But
really, it's beautiful. It's pure and it's beautiful, and it is the path. And we can see that the illusion keeps us in the dream. It keeps us asleep. And so returning to the divine cosmic consciousness, it sounds like you are already there, that you open to oneness consciousness. And
through the grace of God, this is why I received the name for us, because a few years ago, I wasn't ready. I said, God, I think I'm not there yet. I wasn't completely feeling, like the human experience. When you are still in the human experience, on some level, there is this dream of unworthiness towards the divine. And on some level, I feel like I didn't transcend that, because God is so holy. So you always feel, like the illusion can always make you feel like you're not quite there. And so it was really from a place of grace that I allowed this frequency to anchor through my being for the glory, for the victory of the light, because we need that. Every soul needs to remember it is only through the grace of God. It is only grace. Grace is the highest frequency of the divine in embodiment. That's why I say it is not knowledge. It is devotion. Devotion is the gateway to grace. That means it's not always perfect, but somehow through the grace of God, it flows somehow. But we have to be devoted. We have to remember who we truly are, and we have to have no confusion about it. Does it make sense?
Yes, it absolutely does.
Like you said, I don't often talk about myself because there is not really a myself to talk about, but I understand what it means to say that. But what is really important is every soul that will receive those words and transmission, if they so choose to join, because you have to feel called. You have to be like, I'm ready for the real. Because if you identify, again, it's all about remembering who you truly are. If you identify with the I am and you have no confusion about it, you will not fall for the illusion. You will not fall for the dream, but you will not also judge it or separate, because it just is like a wave. It cannot really affect the I am presence. So that's what I was saying about, this is really the frequency. I feel like the divine is asking, us as a oneness to embody, is the presence. It is not the knowledge, it is the presence. So what happened with my being is, once after being in Sedona and then being guided to Glastonbury, I was guided by God to go into secluded retreat. And when I say secluded, it means secluded, like not talking to anyone, only God, and being in that divine silence and purification as well. So those are steps that are needed on the path. Like, you cannot embody the I am presence and not purify. It's just part of it. But once you are there at that level, you don't call it purification. It's just spiritual maintenance. And purification means what? That everything you ingest, as food and as water, has to be pure and has to be from the grace of God. So that means you have to raise your frequency to a level where you can, through the grace of God, obviously you won't be doing that alone, thank God, you will be able to maintain that. So this is the purity that the divine needs to embody. But this is who we are. This is who we are. It's not something new. It's just like we're, like on some level, I feel like, and I feel maybe some souls can relate to that, when I can't really say I awakened, because it's almost like when I was reunited with the divine, it was like I was always there. I've always been that. There's no, and it's like whatever was before that moment is a perfect dream illusion that I don't really, I can remember it, but it doesn't really appear in consciousness because it was an illusion. So, and I'm sure a lot of souls, that go through Kundalini awakening, spiritual awakening, however they call it, they can relate to that. They're like, well, I've always been that. I am that. I am. It's always in the now, in eternity. Do you see what I mean? So it's like everything that was not real is transcendent and it's not there. And you can't even really remember it. So,
Wow. Grace.
and this is the glory. But I want to say, I want souls to feel safe about it, but also not to make a story of it. This is very important, because there is a purity in that. There is a grace in that. And that level of enlightenment, however you want to call it, but I don't really use labels. I don't label myself anything. I just love God, the divine, the light, and I'm devoted to that. And that's about it. And everything else that happens, it's thy holy grace. That's it, but I'm very aware of when, I receive those information, like through this transmission. I am aware that this is happening through all of us, thank God. But it really feels, you are going to say something, Lauren.
Well, I'm going to comment that
Yes.
in the people that I've interviewed, you are very similar to those who've ascended. You have a
Well, like I said, I don't want to say anything, beautiful sister, because
be a label
it is
or
also to,
right,
it's also to protect the light.
yes, okay.
Do you know what I mean? Like, we don't label ourselves. We don't really, but God is allowing this transmission because we have to be visible and we have to be heard by those with eyes to see and ears to hear. But we're not devoted to the world. This is very clear. Does
Uh,
it make sense?
yes, it does, because the world
Okay.
changing. It's amazing. I would consider you an ascended person, an ascended being, someone who has transcended
Like
the
I said, this is really the glory of God, and it is the glory
glory.
that we can connect. Like, this is the glory, that I mean, like I said, I've really been a hermit, and souls in Glastonbury know that, and Glastonbury is a very special place. I mean, if you've ever guided to be in that area, it will transform you, through the grace of God, obviously. But there is something, that is just really, I don't know how to say it, but Sedona and Glastonbury have obviously a very important, there are vortexes and stargates, and I feel also Los Angeles, obviously Mount Shasta is part of it. And like I was saying, the states really, on some level, for the future, holds the Holy Grail. Like I said, most of the souls that I connect with etherically and on this level, whenever that happens through the grace of God, are mostly in the States. So the consciousness is there. Why? Because every other area is a little bit too dance. That's really what it is. In America, it's quicker. The consciousness can flow more quickly on some level. It's not as burdened on some level, maybe karmically. And we all know that Saint Germain, is overseer, of America. So on some level, America is, you know, um, protected on that level. I know through the illusion, it doesn't always appear this way. But, one will realize that one does not look at the illusion to know the truth, right?
Yes, yes.
So like I said, and really important not to identify with anything temporary, identify with the I am presence, and really devote yourself from the sacred heart to the divine, and everything will flow. It's not always going to be easy, but it's the only reality. Why would you choose anything else? One
I
would ask.
yeah, one would ask, why would we choose?
I mean, glorifying the divine. And I know it can sound a little religious. Some souls are like, oh, you're a mystic. Are you Christian mystic? And I'm like, I'm not any of that really. I'm with God. Divine communion with the divine is who we truly are. It is not something special, but you have to come, for the souls that are, on that journey, that are choosing that. It's so important also to realize, like, if you ever feel you have moments where you're like, well, if you're looking at the illusion and you're feeling like it's not really happening, or you might be in places that are more dense, there are not that many souls of light yet. Like receive this as a great challenge of love and compassion. Like, truly, there's nothing else. If a soul is, like you're either with the divine or you're hurting. So how could you not respond with love on some level? Yeah.
Beautiful.
This is really what it is. So no differentiation, no separation. Like, we are a oneness, and it's like, it's like I found through being in union with the divine, with the I am presence, it really is the presence. Like I don't often speak. Like it is actually part of embodying the I am presence. Like I'm always in telepathic communion with the divine in every moment. I can also hear the thoughts of other souls and things like that. But the maintaining the I am presence will, for those souls that are empath, okay, purification is so important in seclusion. There is no other way for integrating the I am presence than spiritual maintenance. Like hearing other souls' thoughts always is not right because you can't function, right?
Mhm.
So there is this waves of souls on the planet and they label themselves empath. Like I said, not using any labels will be actually better. But the answer to this, what I could say is really purification and seclusion until you have anchored that level of light. It might not be the I am presence yet, because the I am presence is the highest frequency of the divine in embodiment. So at that level, it's holiness. So purification has to happen, and there is stages and phases of purification of the soul. So again, I think it's really important because when you open yourself, to the cosmic energy, to the I am, to the divine, you have to be able to integrate the oneness. There is about 8 billion souls on this planet. You cannot be attuned to all of them on this human level. You would not make it.
Mm.
Do you see what I mean?
Yes.
I mean, if every soul was embodying the I am presence of God, it will be easy. We would not have to do any of this because everyone would already be at that frequency. But because not every soul is at that level yet, but we have to remember that's the goal, that's the divine plan. It might not happen, like tomorrow or the next day, but that's why we're here. We have to remember that whenever there is a moment, but also, like I said, when you're in the presence, when you are the presence, you don't think of any of this. You're just here and now in eternity at one with the divine. It is not something far-fetched. It is not something for special souls, but it is something for devoted souls. For those of pure heart, as you said. Does it make sense?
It does. And this is already a transmission and an activation because as we are listening, it is putting us into
Alignment.
the calibration, the alignment.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So,
Every word we say co-create this experience. So that's why the presence do not speak often. Because everything that is being said is actually co-creating this reality. So it's really important to be aligned. So whatever we speak, so whenever you feel like you're not that clear, maybe it's better to wait to speak. And this would be wise. We don't always have to be doing, or like I said, the message from the divine, years ago was, come into retreat, and that was, graciously offered through the grace of God. So we're not, never in the system. Okay, that's very important. And I know you all know that. The system is not something for pure souls. It never will be. And we are transcending that for this planet. So every soul can be free, and free in the divine through the grace of God. No soul can be free through any system. The system is not built for freedom. It's just what it is, you know, they can label it for freedom, but it's not really happening. But on an etheric level, the states is actually, and I know that might be on some level an information that is a bit controversial. I am not trying to be controversial at all, but my heart actually really is strongly connected to the land of the states. So I feel this is, I've been there. I've lived many decades. Actually, I'm not that old either, but on that level, and there's something. Like I said, the divine plan is really happening. Like I said, I don't watch any news or anything like that. It's just the divine connection to keep, whatever is coming through pure. So it's not diluted by anything you hear or see from the external that is co-created by the illusion, because that will never really help in any way. So important, even if you're hearing this, like what I would really say, you always will feel like you're walking alone. It's something very important to be okay with that, because this is your sovereignty and this is the true freedom, because you're actually not walking alone. You're walking, at one with the divine. So you can never feel alone. But on this level, not every soul is awake. So you can have that feeling. And I truly empathize if you feel that way. But as you continue to ascend and reunite with the divine and come to oneness with the divine, this will clear. That feeling will clear. And it's a great, reminder that the divine, the source, the I am, the light, God, is our true source. And you cannot find that light and that life, eternal life, anywhere else, and surely not in the world. So, we are warriors of light on some level, but we are warriors in a quiet way. We don't create huge revolutions on that level, but we do so in the ether. But we do it in quietude and in oneness. Does it make sense?
Yes. And again, this is an activation. This
Yes.
is a transmission. It's so
It
pure.
is so important to be okay. Like on some level, we're not special souls. It's very important to remember this, because this will go against oneness. Well, would there be special ones? This does make no sense. But on some level, you're chosen on some level, and you have to be strong to walk the path exactly as the divine intends it. So it might not be what the 3D is saying, and it probably won't be what the 3D is saying. But you have to have that devotion. It's not even a question, because in your heart, whatever the divine God is guiding you to do or to be, you will know that this is the way. This is so important. I am the light, the life, the truth, and the way. And those are frequencies. They're not just words. They're frequencies of the eternal Christ consciousness of the divine. But again, I don't really associate with Christianity either. But, Christ, I feel that word is becoming on some level purified. So it's not anymore related to religion, because religion is not really the path to freedom. It's direct connection and union with the one, the beloved. It has many names and no name for those who truly know and feel and are here. Very important. The I am presence will bring you here in the now. It won't make you float around in the ether and imagine and visualize. It won't happen. It's completely clear, a completely clear consciousness, no darkness, only thoughts of light whenever there are thoughts. And that's the consciousness that is available to embody. I mean, I am not special. I just said yes to God. Because you can only say yes to the divine. There is no other answer, right?
Yes, and so I can hear a question from those listening. How do you listen to God? How do you get the instructions?
Like I said, I'm at one with God, so he's the only one I hear.
Mhm.
Because again, it's I mean, yes, you could say it's ascension. Ascension is oneness with God. So you become a vessel, and the I am presence comes in and anchors in, and that's who you are, right? Because the divine needs vessels to embody.
This would be a good time now. We've got about 10 minutes for this, if that's reasonable. I don't, again, like to put the container around it.
Yeah, that's fine.
Is there a way that we could do an invitation to invite in God embodiment, a transmission that you would think is worthy or perfect for this event?
Well, it's happening right now, but yes, let's invite.
It already is.
Let's invite consciously. Let's make a call to God, to the divine. From all the souls that are hearing this, I will hear this in the future, that are ready for this, for light embodiment, a higher level of light embodiment, for the ascension and the liberation of every soul, inviting the presence of God, the I am presence, into the sacred heart of every soul listening to this transmission. Just feeling yourself opening energetically in devotion with great joy to the divine, that you have answered the call, you've heard the call, and you're answering the call now by receiving the light of God, His holy presence into thy sacred heart. For thy glory and victory. And you can see a pearl of grace in your sacred heart, a gift from God, luminous pearl of grace. And that is your connection to the I am presence. And through this transmission, knowing that God will help to maintain and to anchor that new level of light with ease and grace. And so it is.
And so it is. There is such a pure stillness.
That's the presence of God, really.
And
It's
how
not something you can, like you said, it's an invitation. You can only invite it. And the divine will help the soul to purify, to come to that level where that light can come in. It's emerging. That's what ascension really is. But again, it is something that you don't really, it's something, it's not a secret between you and the divine, but on some level it is. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. It's I don't want to use the word surrender. I like the,
Mm-hmm.
it's here, and it's so comforting. I really truly sense that everyone is feeling this, those who are listening, because it's it's so beautiful. Again, I'm at a loss for words because I'm in the presence.
Exactly. That
The
means glory.
beautiful. And I want to just share. I have my eyes closed right now because I'm trying to really still keep in control of this interview on a 3D level. I wanted to say I felt this whole experience with you, Grace, has been quantum, in the sense that
I hope so.
we didn't get to do our recording on the day that we had intended. There was
Mm-hmm.
a delay, but something
Mm-hmm.
was happening then. Something
Mm-hmm.
was happening then because um, I was already in that presence. And then even these past few days that go by, I began to open to
Mm-hmm.
that reality, or merging with
Mm-hmm.
consciousness, higher beings, consciousness. Even last night in space, I didn't sleep that well because I kept going into my heart and
Mm-hmm.
merging with another energy, with the light. And so as we're here in this conversation right now, I'm just amazed by the quantumness of it all. It's so beautiful.
Well, that's the glory of joining in the Sacred Heart is, like you have to be attuned to that frequency, like it's the awakening happening within, that's why we're here, you
Hmm.
know. So as it happens through us, then we can transmit to other souls. We're only the vessels again, it's all the divine, all the glory of God. And that's so important. Like, it's not something that I have to remember often, but I feel like on the path, souls sometimes have to be reminded, like it's devotion is the way, like we never receive praise. We give all praise to the one. And it is not something, it's to keep us pure, because only we can receive what we need on every level from the divine. Anything from anywhere else on this level is temporary. So
Yes.
whatever good, we always give it to the divine because it keeps us pure. And that's just maintaining on some level the presence of God. God doesn't need really to be praised either, I have to say. But for us, actually, it's such a joy. God could be in divine silence for eternity. I think he would be completely okay about it. But I find, like I have some transmissions on the YouTube where I have some songs of praise, and I'm just like, they come through, God, and I just love praising you when it happens. I'm mostly in divine silence, but when it happens, I'm like, well, on a oneness level, we need to praise. There might be some things happening somewhere, and the song comes through us because we're here to anchor that, because, we are maintaining the oneness, on that level. So it's very important. But again, like, I mean, this would be also probably for another transmission. I can't on some level speak too much, but and it, it has to be revealed by God as well. Like, that's the most important, I find. It's whatever you hear from within. Of course, you have to make sure it comes from the divine, but you have to know that for yourself. You can't really ask anyone. Even if if you do encounter someone that is with God in the light, you will recognize it. It's obvious. And if you have a doubt, then don't think about it, and just, come back to the self, to the one. But it's so important. That was one of the main teaching on the path for my soul, is to not ask for any confirmation from any other channels on some level. It was like, the oneness with God, you have to be with that, frequency, and you have to be sovereign. And it's really the strength, I feel, so important, and the glory, because like I said, like I always tell God, there's one, I have only one attachment, and it's to you. Everything else, I'm good, but I cannot exist other than in your presence. That's it. And I feel he's okay about it. And that's a good one.
Oh my gosh, so beautiful, Grace.
That one is allowed.
Really, really beautiful. This entire conversation has been an activation, a transmission of the light.
And it
And
will continue, because
yes, it will
the
continue.
connection has been, made, and it will continue. It will, blossom and flourish for thy glory.
Yeah,
So
thank
thank you for having us, for inviting us, and for being receptive, for being such a gracious host. Because I've always loved, like, just your voice is just so heart-centered. So it's really easy to connect with souls like yours.
Well, I just want to say again, and I know that those who are listening can sense this as well. There are other teachers out there who are at this level, and they actually have stepped back now to
Mm,
for the rest of us to come forward. I won't name
mhm,
names, but some know who they are. And you are so fresh for us because you are this purity and a beautiful model. I don't want to put the labels on it, but you are a way shower. This really helps define way shower for
mhm,
all of us in the One Heart. And I just want to
mhm.
say it's so beautiful, and we are so grateful.
Well,
And
it's a victory for all of us, that we are actually here in embodiment, and that, we are rising, like in oneness, in love, in grace. I feel it's a victory from the light, so this is, I feel, really, on some level, I would say, important, because we are not just ethereal beings, we're here in embodiment, and we should be able to connect with each other on some level for the glory.
I
you
just,
know it, you know we don't have to hide from each other, but we do have to protect the light. We have to be wise with whom we connect, and those who will receive those words in transmission, they have the wisdom,
uh-huh.
you know so this is, but this is not, like, I lead a life, with God, where, there are moments where you have to be more, maybe on guard, because you might not be, like, in an area of a lot of light, but mostly it's just really the peace of heaven. But I'm a soul, so I do okay with the challenges. So so, and truly, with the presence of God, like, you can, really, how would I say that, like, the impossible becomes possible. Like, what you think you cannot accomplish, through the grace of God, it will happen, but you have to be at that frequency, like, it's like, I'm devoted to God, and there's no question about it. The divine is not questioning that. So the energy flows. Do you see what I mean?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I know people are going to want to work with you or at least be in your presence. And there's something that you've got for us. Tell us about this.
Oh, this is the Ascension transmission, right?
Yes, that people
Yes.
can participate in, they can purchase. Tell us how that works and what it is.
Well, so this is really, I mean, this is really easy. This is Be the Light Ascension Way. So this is a transmission for the souls who obviously are ready for ascension. So, so only those really who feel comfortable with that word, and who would feel, a resonance in their sacred heart would want to join. Because again, I say this, like we're not here to, convert or preach or anything like that. It has to be the soul feels the call from the divine and is ready, and is doing this in surrender, exactly actually what you said, and, in devotion. So, those are the transmissions that I facilitate through the grace of God whenever He allows it. And this is really like you can see it as a, stepping up, on the ascension, um, gateway, if you wish, where you feel like you're really ready for that. And, I believe, I did say August 13th, so I don't know if we have confirmed that. But, the souls that will join, like, I, they will have to go through some kind of purification, because to receive that kind of light, so it's probably a good thing, if they are, um, if there is some space, between, so the souls, we had to, there was a bit of a delay, when we had to connect, because energetically, the frequency had to adjust. So it's something that souls will, obviously, if they receive the transmission later, they'll know exactly what to do. Maybe they'll be ready already. But this is a real stepping up into God's divine reality. So it really is like saying yes to the divine, and not there's no going back. Like the reality you experienced before, you will have to literally, I can't say leave it behind, because you can't leave it behind, because that doesn't really exist, but you will have transcended it. So this is for those souls who are there. Like, I'm ready for ascension. I'm ready to embody the I am presence, not just to think about it or affirm it. It's a good thing. It's great. But at some point, as much as you affirm it, there's a point where you're like, I actually want to be that, because that's who I am. Yes?
Yes, exactly.
So this is the invitation and the offering to the grace of God for those souls who really feels like warriors of light, like, they're really there and they're ready to step to a higher level of light embodiment. It's not just affirming it, it's actually anchoring it, being it through the presence. So when I say warriors, it's warriors of consciousness, warriors of heart. It's not so much of doing in the 3D reality. And any soul that connects to the frequency that I am really will be at that level already on some level. So, you know, but like I said, it's always a joy and, the grace of God to be able to help any soul, on the journey, to make it easier, for them. Because like you said, like way showers, it's true. Like maybe, hopefully we can make it easier for them, that's
Yes.
the intent, right?
Yes.
Because everything in heaven happens with grace and ease, and it has to be reflected here in our experience. Do you see what I mean? You know, like there are many spiritual souls, but they struggle, you know, they go through, you know, traumas and things like that, and it's not necessary. It's possible through the grace of God and through devotion to transcend those levels and not be stuck in the karmic will. That's the intent, and that's the will of God. You know, God doesn't want any soul to suffer. That's not the point, you know. So hopefully, you know, some souls will feel guided and will feel ready to receive and you know, be in service, because that's why we're here, you know. So every soul can come to that frequency, you know. Like I said, it might not happen for every soul in this life, but we're not focusing on that. We're focusing on those who are actually receptive and who wish to come to those levels of higher light embodiment, you know, because we really are, you know, the warriors, you know, like preparing the way of new earth to be a reality, because for us it's already a reality. That's where we are. We're in heaven, but we're here in embodiment. And
Mm,
we need more souls like that, you see,
yes.
until
Well,
every soul is, you know, at that level. That's the joy. And you know, there's nothing else. That's why we're here. That's the glory. And that's, you know, but it has to be done in presence. I cannot say it any other way. It is the quickest way. You can do it other ways. You can have many spiritual rituals. You can have, you know, but the presence of the divine, of the I am, is like, you know, it transcends all darkness just by being. So God needs souls that are willing to be, not to do. Does it make sense?
it does. And this is a call for all those souls who wish to be that light, the
Exactly. That's exactly why we say be the light ascension way, you know,
ascension.
because it really is about being. But for those souls that are into doing, they have to come to that surrender of presence. And that can only be done again through devotion and inviting God, the divine, the light, to abide within thy sacred heart. That's where it happens, you know. So there is great joy, you know. This is happening and it will continue to happen. And this is the glory and victory, you know, for all of us, you know.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. This is so beautiful. We are elevated, actually. We are elevated
And so it is.
and anchored in our heart. And so it is. And so I want us to let everyone know that the way that they can access this beautiful transmission that is coming up, the date will be accurate on the webpage that we're
Mm-hmm.
now, or in the description box of wherever you are watching or listening to this program. Check it out and join Grace OneHeart. You will be anchored in the light anew. It's so beautiful. Grace, thank you so much for this.
And so it is. Thanks to God. Thank you. It's all His holy grace, really.
Oh,
That's what He needs, you know. He needs all of us too. And like I said, I say He, you know, but again, it's just how I relate to the divine, you know. But it's so important again to allow this connection with the beloved, with the one, in the way that feels right to oneself, but also not like, you see, like if you call it something else, I don't have any problem with it. And that's the oneness consciousness, you know. That's the purity, and that's the sovereignty. It's like, know thyself, and do not await confirmation from any other than the divine, you know,
yeah.
because, you know, I mean, we have to be strong in this way, and it's a gentle strong, you know. It's like will never, those who are in the light will never push anything, any knowledge, anything onto any soul, because that's not the way, and it's just like, it's liberating for many souls, because the mind, in the 3D illusion is always fighting about this or that, and it can be spiritual, and that's, not what we're here for. So that's really the frequency of grace, is really to allow, and as you do identify with the I am, you're completely transparent to what is not real. And it's an inner knowing, and that's the inner freedom. So, like I said, God is so inspiring, it's like we could, but again, the deepest wisdom is found, in divine silence. And I know it can be on some level frustrating for some, but when you come to this level of presence and union with the divine, you will revolve, you will blossom in that frequency. So, those transmissions are really a level up, and then you anchor in, and divine silence will be really important to anchor in, because as you receive those transmissions, you will transcend everything that is not real. So it's not always going to feel good or easy, but you have to remain in presence. That's how you will transcend and anchor to that higher level. So I just want to say that, like, it will happen anyway. Some souls will be a bit quicker than others, but very, so important. Do not identify with the story, with the memories, anything that comes through the consciousness. Once you've received that transmission, it's a purging, it's a transcending, and that's how you ascend into the light. So very important to remain anchored into the I am. And you will know anyway. You will know.
Beautiful. And with that, we are maintaining presence, and we are so grateful. Thank you so much, Grace. We're going to have more things with you. We'll have you back again, but I just thank you for this beautiful.
Yes, thank you, beloved sister. Such a joy. Thank you.
Namaste.
Namaste.